Now, the rollout of electric vehicle charge points must become 5 times quicker to support the forthcoming ban on new petrol and diesel cars. That's according to latest research. The think tank Policy Exchange is urging the government to avoid charging black spots in small towns and rural areas. Well, joining me now for more on that is Simon Clarke, the Conservative MP for Middlesbrough South and East Cleveland, who wrote a foreword to that report. Morning to you, Simon.
Good morning.
Appreciate your time this morning. Thank you. How crucial is it then that all motorists with electric cars, of course, regardless of where they are in the UK, get access to the necessary charging points?
Well, it's vitally important because obviously the government has banned the sale of new petrol and diesel cars after 2030, which is a major commitment and will help obviously to ensure that we meet our commitments to deliver net zero by 2050. All of this is fantastic, but it all needs to be underpinned by the right infrastructure, and getting that rollout of charge points is going to be a major logistical challenge. We know that we will need to increase the rate of rollout from about 7,000 new charging points a year to 35,000 during the course of the 2020s. And we need to be doing that as soon as we can. This report sets out how.
This report, has it actually detailed exactly how many charge points are needed across the UK, say in total, say over the next 10 years, and also who indeed should be in charge of making these things and installing them? Can you see contracts being issued to lots of private firms who might make a profit? Is that a concern?
We're going to need between 300,000 and 500,000 charge points in total across the UK, and we're going to need a mixture of public and private sector delivery. It's clearly right that wherever possible, this should be a commercial operation in the same way that petrol stations are. That's not something the government should be intervening with. Clearly, however, there will be areas where the government does need to help build this market, and in those areas where, for example, you've got rural sparsity, the economics of this aren't going to be the same as in a city like London. So what this report sets out is how we can create a system of competitive tendering with a minimum price guarantee offered to companies to install charge points in less economically viable areas, and the government would provide a measure of financial support to ensure that it was viable for those charge points to be installed. Clearly, the quid pro quo for that would be that wherever government money was invested, there would be a cap on prices to prevent any abuse from occurring.
For the benefit then of our listeners this morning, Simon, how much will it cost, or indeed does it cost already, to use an electric charge point? And how crucial is it for all drivers that any costs are indeed fair and affordable?
Well, it's vitally important that costs are affordable, and there's a range of pricing at the moment. It's largely pretty competitive, which is great, but we do need to make sure that as we roll charge points out to more rural areas, that we don't see spikes in prices. And this report does set out how we can both ensure that prices are capped in those charge points where government money is invested, but also suggests that we have regulatory changes to ensure that there is CMA supervision of how this is all operating, because it's a new market and one we need to protect consumers in.
Indeed. There's been an interesting comment actually from the president of the AA, Edmund King. The quote is, "A comprehensive, contactless, reliable, affordable, simple to use charging infrastructure is essential to encourage consumers to take up EVs," while the Transport Secretary Grant Shapps insisted the UK's charging network is world leading. There's all, given what's happened in the last year, there's always a danger, isn't it, with calling anything world leading. Is it, in your opinion, world leading?
All right. I missed that last question. Sorry, was it on the line for a second?
No worries. I hope you can hear us now. Did you hear the comment from Edmund King saying a comprehensive, contactless set of charging points is needed to make consumers take up more EVs?
That's right. He's completely right in his analysis. The answer is that people won't do this unless we make it practical for them to run their lives as conveniently as they currently do with conventional cars. And doing this, therefore, isn't some nice to have. It's essential to our commitments that we've made, which will transform our motor industry and make sure that it's clean and green and affordable for everyone. And that is a commitment in which we're world leading. The government should be very proud of the work we're doing. We now need to look seriously at this issue of how we roll out the charge point network. So we need to get these competitive tenders in place to get the private sector building out the network that we need, with a measure of government support for those harder to reach areas, that we get the real clustered charge points on the motorways so we can get the rapid charging that we need there. and that we get the right regulatory supervision in place to prevent consumers from being ripped off. This report by Policy Exchange is a really sophisticated intervention. I think it would work to deliver the rollout we need.